Sure. Well, hi there. I'm Danny Maxwell. I teach in the criminal justice department at UNH. I have a long history with the school. I did my grad work there starting in the early 1980s. And I kind of morphed and during that time I was a full-time police officer. And then at one point I got offered the opportunity to teach part-time in the early 1990s. And I taught part-time for about 15 years. And then I was a couple of years away from retiring from the police department, and the university had been growing and growing. And they said, can you come and teach full-time? And I said, well, I'm still a police officer full-time. And they said, well, we don't care. We'll, give you the schedule you want to, but can you come full-time? Because we have a lot of students. So for about a year and a half, I did, I taught during the daytime at UNH, and I did the police thing at night. And then I retired from police work, and I was already full-time here. So I've been here for a long time. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but so I teach out of the criminal justice department. Usually I teach freshman classes. I teach introduction to criminal justice, which is the first one everybody has to take. And then criminal law in the spring, which is usually, for the investigative policing crowd, that's the second class they have to take. Every once in a while, they'll throw me something different, but, for the last few years, it's been those two. When I was in college, I have a very checkered past when it comes to my undergrad career. In high school, I was an athlete, and I thought I could just be an athlete in college. And in high school, I really never thought about college all that much. Thought I would, just go, be a jock, so to speak, and work my way through it. And I was, greeted with the harsh reality that you actually have to go to classes and study and all that stuff. So I got kicked out of the first school that I went to, right after the first semester. I mean, I think my GPA was negative. That's how bad I was. So they kicked me right out of there. And so I had a spring semester out of school to think about what it is that I wanted to do. And my dad took me to a counselor for wayward students, I guess. And he said, the only school I can find to get you back into is Franklin Pierce College up in New Hampshire. It's now Franklin Pierce University, but back then it was Franklin Pierce College. And I said, okay. And my dad said, this is it. If you can't figure this out, you are on your own. So I took that seriously and went up to Franklin Pierce. And I'd never really been to New Hampshire. And my roommate was in the exact same position I was, was an athlete in high school and screwed up that first semester. But we quickly discovered at the time, Franklin Pierce College was the college for misfits. I mean, everybody there had a problem, and we discovered that our problems were not as severe as everybody else's. I mean, there were some crazy kids up there. And my roommate and I decided very quickly, we have to turn ourselves into college students and get out of here. Otherwise, we're going to wind up like these nuts. He was good at math. I was good at typing. So he helped me with my math stuff. I typed his papers for him, and we learned how to be college students. And it was at Franklin Pierce where I really there was one professor there that I got to know really well, and, actually expressed some interest in me. And I remember his name was Professor Egan. He taught English, and he was kind of a quirky, crazy guy. Back in those days, people could smoke in classrooms, and I wasn't a smoker, but he carved his own pipes. Smoked pipe tobacco. He carved his own pipes, and he always had a pipe somewhere, and it was not uncommon for smoke to be coming out of his pockets in the middle of a lecture. And Professor Egan, your coat's on fire or something like that. So anyway, so he was an interesting guy, and he took a little bit of interest in me, and he said, you could write really well if you just not applied yourself a little more and understood some of the basic principles. And I said, well, how do I figure that out? And he goes, I'll show you. So once a week, and at Franklin Pierce College, then they had a pub on campus, beer and wine. And he goes, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you in the pub once a week, and I'll show you stuff. So I would meet him in the pub, buy us a pitcher of beer. Don't do this at home, but but he sat down with the things that I wrote, and he taught me how to write. And so after that, I was really, it made me feel good. And I applied that feeling to the other classes that I had, but I still knew I had to get out of New Hampshire. I did not forget that. And a friend of mine from the school I got kicked out of had transferred to the University of Miami down in Florida. And he called me up and said, hey, how do you like, freezing your butt off in New Hampshire? And I said, I don't like it at all, really. He goes, well, why don't you come down here? And I said, well, okay, I'll do that. So I applied to University of Miami, and I went down there, and I had forgotten that my father went to law school there and my uncle went to law school there. So I asked my dad some advice, about, going to school in Miami. And basically he just said, make sure you take classes in the morning. And I said, well, why is that? He goes, you'll see, just take classes in the morning. So, I get down to Miami, sign up for morning classes. And what I discovered was all the kids, I'd finish my classes by lunchtime, and then, hey, who wants to go to the beach? And, all the kids with the afternoon class would say, yeah, I'll go to the beach. So they were blowing off their classes, and they wound up getting kicked out of school. So, take morning classes, everybody. So at Miami, by the time I got to Miami, I was a savvy college veteran. I've been kicked out of one school. Franklin Pierce, I got all B's. So I was pulling myself out of the hole, and I got to Miami, by that time I was all business. I worked full time while I was going to school there, did my schoolwork, went to classes, worked at night, and really kind of dialed in. I don't think I majored in sociology, just, I don't know why, because I had to pick a major, and the sociology track had some criminal justice classes in it. I had not been thinking about a criminal justice career at all. I didn't even know what I wanted to do, but they had some criminal justice classes, which I thought were interesting. And my dad was in the FBI, so we, had a little bit of interest in it, but not all that much. So I took all of these classes, and I learned how to be a college student. I learned how to take a college class. I learned how to do well with a college class. That's what I think I got the most out of. So, I graduated from Miami, came back home. I don't know why, but here I am. Started working as a police officer, and then I started grad school at UNH, which was a whole different ballgame than undergrad. And, I was doing grad school part-time, but class by class by class, I was kind of just a little college class assassin. I'm going to get an A here, going to get an A here, going to get an A here. Even if I didn't really know much about the subject matter, I learned how to get A's in classes, so that's what I did. So I got a grad degree first in criminal justice at UNH, and then I got another one in public administration. So I guess some things to think about. Number one, if you are in trouble in a class, you have to talk to your instructor about it right away. That is critical. If you suffer in silence, then the semester flies by. It's time for grades to go in, and there's really nothing you can do about it. All of the faculty, and the staff and the administrators, everybody's at this school to help students. The only problem we can't solve is the one we don't know about. If you are in trouble, sing out right away, and somebody can help you. We've been doing this for a long time. I've been teaching for 28 years now. not that I look forward to students having problems, I look forward to solving their problems. And students manage to get themselves into all kinds of interesting pickles, one way or another. I've had students get arrested before, and I get emails, Professor Maxwell, I'm going to miss an exam because I got arrested and I have to go to court. Well, okay, I can work with that. Thanks for letting me know. I'm not saying get arrested, but if you let your instructors know you're having a problem, they can help you. I would also suggest, don't look too far down the road. If you have to go week by week or class by class, don't get ahead of your skis. Um, put things into bite-sized pieces so things don't overwhelm you. And I think what you would discover is, you focus on one thing that's due, do a good job on that, focus on another thing that's due, do a good job on that, and you start building these little successes, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of them that turns into larger success. And it helps you methodically work your way through a semester, but I think it also builds up your confidence to say, look, I did this good, I did this well. It adds to your arsenal of positive stuff. Well, I think number one, students who show up do well. Um, you have to show up, and I think that's 90% of the game. Once you come to class, then good things will come from that. I think participating in class is important too. Everybody's paying a lot of money to come to this school, and anybody can sit down and read the text and all of that stuff. But this is the time to ask questions, not only about the subject matter, but about, we spend a lot of time talking about, the criminal justice profession. What are employers looking for? What are they not looking for? What's the current marketplace look like? Things to do, things not to do. We spend a lot of time looking at things that have gone wrong in criminal justice, whether it's things with the cops, things with the courts, things with corrections. The insurrection at the Capitol has been a gift. Every semester I always pray for a good case to follow, and lo and behold, we've got the mothership here. So we're going to be we talk about it every day in class. So it's not like there's nothing to talk about, but I'd say participating is critical. Doing some research on your own is critical. The books I wrote they aren't traditional textbooks. They're just kind of my class in textbook form, but I'm always urging my students, and I have exercises for them, doing some research on your own. Go find out about this or go find out about that. In our Canvas page, I got a bunch of different links to help them go find things, criminal justice data, or other kind of basic places where criminal justice academics and criminal justice professionals go to look up stuff. Because we all know textbooks traditionally, nobody likes buying them, nobody likes reading them. Instructors don't use everything in a textbook. If somebody's really interested in something, they're going to look it up on their own anyway. So that's what I'm trying to get after. Yeah, you have to get a schedule going, whether you like it or not. And I started off. I'm not a role model for that. I thought I could wing it, and I could not. I had to train myself to be a college student, and Monday through Friday, I was all business. No partying, no anything. Go to class, done with class, get all my work done, set up a schedule, write things down in a calendar, and actually read the stuff that I wrote down on the calendar. Um, and you have to do this. Saturdays and Sundays, do what you want to, but it's like you're punching into the factory, so to speak. There's a time for work, there's a time for play. If you can separate the two and get yourself on a schedule, that will help you. Every day will be different than than the next. Some days you're really busy, some days you're not. But I mean, you have to set up a schedule, and probably the hardest thing I think is for students to not procrastinate. You know, everybody has a certain level of procrastination, but waiting till the last week of the semester to get all your stuff done just doesn't work. Um, and if you can get in the little habit of just a little bit every day, bite-sized pieces that you won't choke on, then and building up those little successes, it will work for you. And the ability to do that will not only help you get through undergrad, if you're thinking about grad school, that will really come in helpful. And I think in just in life in general, you know, profession wise, that will also help you. You know, chop things up into bite-sized pieces. Don't look too far down the road. That can be overwhelming. It's like runners. For a few years, I was a triathlete. I had my midlife crisis, and I decided instead of getting a motorcycle or something pierced, I said I'm going to be an Iron Man. So, I you know, did my homework because I was a good student, and I decided to get into triathlons. And you know, my sport in high school was swimming. That's all I did. And then I was watching the Ironman championship in Hawaii on TV, and I said, well, that looks interesting. I could probably learn I know how to ride a bike, and I guess I could figure out how to run. So did some research, you know, met up with some people that had experience, learned how to do this stuff. And one of the things they said is when you're running up a hill, don't look at the top of the hill, just look 10 feet in front of you, and you will find yourself getting up the hill a little bit easier. If you look at the top of the hill, you're going to get gassed. And same thing here. Don't look at the top of the hill. Just keep taking care of the stuff that's 10 feet in front of you, and pretty soon you will be at the top of the hill. So my suggestions would be, again, just look 10 feet in front of you. You're in a place where everybody is there to help you. There's help crawling out of the walls. For a lot of them, that is their only job, is to help you. You know, I have to teach classes and stuff, also help students, but you know, in academic services and other places at the university, all these people are here for is to help you. Take advantage of it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's nothing to be ashamed about. You know, I just told you I got kicked out of my first school, so there you go. Don't feel bad about it. You can turn it into a badge of honor. And actually, that's kind of what happened with me in particular, when I went down to Miami. You know, people were asking me, "What's your story?" I said, "Oh, I got kicked out of my first school," and they're like, "Oh, holy crap!" You know, and it will. You can turn this into a positive. You know, we learn from our mistakes. Some are bigger than others. The good news for you again is you're still in school. You know, you haven't got kicked out. There's plenty of opportunity for you to get squared away. It's going to take some work on your part, but I mean, you can do this, and there's tons of people here to help you. So take advantage of it. You can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Believe me.